that was about the time that they made me their chief. Oh, hello there, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode here at WILDMAN Lives. I'm your host, WILDMAN. Now, on today's episode, I'm going to be doing the log clean and press, mainly because I haven't done that in a very long time. And I'm sitting on my pal here. He's a rock that I got for Christmas. He weighs 255 pounds, and he's been something that I've been trying to work with and getting better at. And I spent a lot of time the other night trying to get him to my shoulder, but I was able to get it to my lap, and I was able to pick it up. So that was some pretty good progress, in my opinion. But I still have some more work to do, and working out with a stone like this is really good for building raw strength. That's why I do it. That's why I do Strongman. And there's many ways you could build raw strength. So I'm going to give you a couple examples as I jump into the workout. So let's pop into that right now. Now, before I began, there were some massive winds that were coming through my way. So my backyard's a little messy. So I apologize for that if that's a little bit distracting. Before today's strength giant set, I'm going to be doing the log clean and press, which is something I haven't done in a very long time. And why do I do it? Because it's a very popular movement in strongman competitions. And also, I'm going to explain later why it's really beneficial to practice with the log and other oddly shaped equipment such as this. And as I was going up a weight on the log, I was also doing an offset carry, where one kettlebell is down in a farmer's carry and the other one is in the front rack position. I find this is a great way to warm up my shoulders for the log clean and press and to keep my shoulders equally balanced as I'm going up in weight. And those are just super light kettlebells. And I was doing jump ropes in between. This is just good to warm up my shoulders and my legs, but also to get some conditioning and some timing down for the log, which is super important. And that's going to be the strength giant set for the day. Now, per the title of this video, if you want to build raw strength, I would suggest doing strongman movements such as the log clean and press, carries, working with a stone, pressing with a circus dumbbell, just trying to get your hands on weird objects and carrying them around or push or pull, and lifting with odd objects overhead. Strongman movements such as the long clean and press that I'm doing today really carries into raw strength. And the second thing I'm doing is I'm not training with the belt. You can see that I'm not training with the log at all with the belt on. And that's actually because when I usually train with the log, I actually pinch the skin between my belt and my stomach, and it leaves a pretty nasty mark. And I could try to buy a soft belt to put underneath the hard belt, but I'm poor, like I've said multiple videos. And so what I ended up doing was training without a belt because it was just easier to do. So doing those two things will make you practically strong in the real world. So give those a try. Now, since I haven't touched the log in a very long time, I didn't want to go heavy, meaning I didn't want to do like a 1 rep max. I wanted to be able to do some volume and do some press-aways, just to make sure that I'm building up the appropriate amount of tension and time under tension. So then I can get back up to the weights that I was hitting before I took all that time off from the log. So my plan originally was to load up this log to 200 pounds and just do 3 presses and just kind of see how it feels, where I'm at. Was it slow? Was it hard? Just to kind of see where I'm at. But surprisingly, when I did this was super light. Like this felt like it was 165 instead of 200 pounds. So I was very intrigued because I thought, well, now what do I do? Because do I continue to try to go up to a 3 rep max and see how much I can do? Or maybe I could do singles, like 3 singles, and just kind of like play around with it. And this is a common problem with like weightlifters and strongman. You get to this point where you're at this dilemma and you want to lift safe, but you also want to challenge yourself. So I thought, I've never hit 215 pounds before for 2 reps. I always fail the second rep. But then I thought, why don't I just try 220 pounds? Like 200 pounds felt really good. 20 pounds more might feel even better. So if I was able to hit this for at least 2 reps, this would be an ultimate PR for me because the second rep on the log is always the hardest. So first one goes up very easy. And when I lowered it down, I knew I had it. Like you could just tell. But I kind of got a little bit out of sorts. And I probably could have got myself stable and gone for a third one. But I didn't want to push myself too hard because I'm getting back into the log again. So I just ended after the second rep because I don't want to hurt myself and blow something out or make my central nervous system super tired. And then it affects the next time I want to do this because I'm going to be doing the log a lot more. So I got to take my time on it, lift another day, be smart about it, be mature about it. All right, not bad. That went way better than expected. I don't even think I've hit 215 pounds for 2 reps. So the fact that I was able to do 220 today and hit 2 reps, I'm very happy with that. I haven't touched log in a very long time, as you know. So this is something that I'm super proud of. And you can just see by the implements, right? That is how you build raw strength. The world doesn't come with perfectly calibrated weight where it's perfectly even on both sides when you're lifting something heavy. And so when you're lifting something that's this awkward and big, it's over the middle of your foot, unlike a barbell, which is a lot easier when the barbell is over the middle of your foot. So you can move to an A to B motion. Something like this, that when you try to press and lock it out and it's wiggling at the top, it totally builds all the stabilizers in your body and makes you that much stronger for raw strength, for real and practical strength purposes. And since that went so well, let's go ahead and jump into the secondary part of the workout, where I'm going to try to really hammer those shoulders, and another way to build raw strength in your shoulders. Let me show you what that looks like. For the secondary giant set, I could probably say I've done really well in the log, and this is one of the exercises. It's the seated shoulder press, where I just go up in weight doing dumbbells, because those dumbbells want to sway and move, and my shoulder stabilizers have to kick in a lot harder in order to stabilize it. So this is a great exercise to do after you've done some type of variation overhead pressing, such as the log. And when I wasn't using the log, I was using an axle bar, which I think carries over a lot into the log as well. So those were the two movements I think that kept me strong for the log. And I definitely owe a lot of it to this movement. My overhead pressing's gone up a lot more since I've been doing this movement. And as I was going up on the seated dumbbell press, I was also continuing to do those offset carries. Found it very important to keep that in check and in motion as I'm doing this, because it keeps my shoulders in line as I'm lifting heavy. And I was continuing to do the jump ropes as well for the same reasons that I've said before. And for the assistance giant set, I was doing 3 rounds, and I just kept the weight the same on the log, and I was doing a log incline bench press. The last time I did bench press, I actually was feeling some weirdness in my chest. So I kind of want to start off small and safe. And the log actually activates my chest a lot more because it's really weird to move around, as I've said before. And also I'm focusing on my triceps a lot more because it's not going all the way down to my chest. So there is a bit of a gap there before I'm able to press it back up. So that's why I was doing it with some very light weight and for lots of reps. And as I was doing that, I was also doing the pull-off press, which is something I love to do for the obliques. The obliques are super important to hit, and I love doing this motion because it helps the obliques out. And I was also putting my weights away. Those dumbbells that I had, I was just farmer carrying them back into my garage and setting them down. And I was just taking like 1 pair at a time in between my sets. This is because farmer carries are really healthy for your shoulders, especially when you've been pressing overhead. It's good to have some gravity being pulled your shoulders down so they get that extra antagonistic pull. And for the accessory giant set, because the log was already out here, I decided to do some overhead tricep extensions with the log. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I've been doing a lot of different kinds of tricep movements. And since the log was already out here, this is one of those things I like to throw in there occasionally. And again, it's a little awkward and heavy, so it makes my triceps have to think a little bit harder in order to make sure that I'm doing the correct form and then I'm hitting those triceps appropriately. And I'd immediately move over into the Arnold press. And I was kind of going back and forth at which shoulder exercises I wanted to do to finish off my shoulders. And I decided to go with the Arnold press because I really feel like, because I've been doing Arnold presses lately, my shoulder size has been growing. And I feel like that's where the log had a lot of real estate to rest on my shoulders. And that's why I was able to get it overhead up on the second rep, because my shoulders were a little bit more beefier to accept that weight. And of course, face pulls, because if you ever want to fix shoulder impingements and have overall shoulder strength, you really got to hit those rotator cuffs and do these face pulls in this manner. And that was the total workout for the day. Alrighty, so that's going to conclude it for today and now tonight's workout. I ran out of daylight, so it's official. I got to end this workout. I really appreciate everybody stopping by, and I hope that everybody learned something new. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.